Are you ready to live your dream? Motivation, inspiration, and passion. That's what it takes to make dreams come true. Welcome to the Nadia Sahari Show. Our guests will share important tips, insights, and knowledge to help you fulfill your dreams of success. Here's your host, actress, author, entrepreneur, Nadia Sahari.
Welcome, everyone. This is Nadia Sahari, your host with the Nadia Sahari Show. Hello. Yes, we have a great show for you today. Yes, and let me tell you, we are all dreamers. We dream of writing a book. We want to act in a movie, get a record label for a song that we have. And we want to be composers of music. We want to be a musician, a singer. Maybe we dream of having our own business. My dream since I was 10 was to be an actress, and I achieved that. And I've been an entrepreneur. I'm an author. I'm all those things, but I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So I'm still waiting. And that's why I invite guests to my show, like the one that I have today for you is a big surprise. He's amazing, wonderful. He's a friend. I've known him for 9 years, and I'm so excited to have him on my show. My guests will share their secrets, their journey, and their challenges. How they did it. What did they do to maintain that success that they have? What failures did they face, and how did they stand up and fight against it? Let me introduce you to my friend, composer, producer, educator, and host. And he is the best known for science fiction series Space Command and for the Emmy-winning Maya, A Dancer's Journey. Let me introduce you to David Raiklen. Welcome to the Nadia Sahari Show, David.
Hi, Nadia. It's so good to see you and talk with you again. And hello, wonderful audience. We love you. This is the best show ever. So just sit down and enjoy the ride.
Thank you. You're so sweet. Okay, well, we're going to have a great show because I have your great music on here to share with everybody. Yay! So let's go. So, David, tell us, what was your inspiration? When were you first inspired? Was it the womb?
It happened before I could even give what I wanted to do a name. It was just something I knew that I was destined to do. I would listen to music and conduct in time to Beethoven when I was in my crib. My parents recorded this at 18 months. So I was real sensitive to classical music and to rhythm since I was born. And my earliest memories are of composing music. But I didn't know that that's what it was called then because I was like 3 or 4 years old. But I was making up music. And I actually asked my parents for music lessons because I was frustrated that I couldn't play all the instruments that I wanted to play. Someone had to show me how to, work all the keys and stuff. I started to expand my listening. So I would listen to all kinds of music. And that's what I did as a kid, and that's what I do as a grown-up. And one day I will listen to everything from hip-hop to jazz to classical, from like the Baroque era to modern experimental classical music to film scores, TV scores, video game scores. I like listening to street musicians. I just think that if you love music, then you love more music.
You know what? You are absolutely right, and that's why you're a great composer. And I read where you have all these genres. I mean, you could pretty much do everything. I mean, you must have been a composer in your mother's womb.
I probably was.
I think you were. I think you were. I can tell you because I've talked to a lot of composers, and you definitely started in the womb.
Well, it's what I was made to do. Sometimes people find their path, find the right connections, the things that are right for them when they're little.
Yes.
Some people, it takes longer. But once you arrive at the right place at the right time, then struggle was just part of your process. And you can take all of your life experiences and put that into your art. In other words, whether you're a success when you're 18 or you're a success when you're 88, it's still all based on your life experience. So it's one of those things where, I knew what I wanted to do since I was a little kid. but there are great people in every field who didn't know what they wanted to do even when they were in college, but that didn't matter. It was their journey. It's really important for me to know about all the other elements, all the other people, the things that happen in the world around me.
Yes.
I can't say that I love everything, but I have curiosity about all kinds of things. So yes, I do specialize in writing music,
Yes.
but I love software. I also love luthiers, the people who handcraft wood to make guitars or violins or cellos. I find what they do is fascinating. And PR, I love people who do promotion and learning about that. There's just a whole world of amazing, wonderful things. And you don't need to just specialize in the one thing you do. It kind of enriches your life and your art when you have interests and you learn about things that are outside of what you do.
Wonderful. I love that answer. Okay.
I mean, what you do for a living.
Yeah, exactly. So now, since you started in the womb, who do you think was the biggest influence in your success today?
I've had so many friends and mentors that have guided me. And teacher Mr. Mills in junior high school was actually a very insightful and inspiring musician. I had this middle school teacher who was very demanding, but in a positive way. He asked us, all the students, to play musical theater numbers that are usually played by experienced adults. We would do things like The Sound of Music or My Fair Lady when we were in junior high school. And we would record them. We'd go in a recording studio and actually record these things. And we didn't do the full show. We did like about half of it, an abridged version. You can take on things that are challenging if someone will give you a chance to do it, if they believe in you.
Yes, that is so true. And you were born in Long Beach, California, so you've been in California all your life. You began your musical education on the violin and accordion at age 6, I read in your bio, and you became the concert master of your high school orchestra.
Yeah, and the All-City Orchestra. Long Beach has a long history of having a very enriched music program, and we win prizes all over the country. When I was in high school, we played at the Hollywood Bowl.
Wow, and you were mentored, David was mentored by an Oscar winner, John Williams, Pulitzer Prize winner, Mel Powell. And
yes.
You are Dr. Raiklen. I didn't know that, Dr. Raiklen.
Well,
Studied at USC, UCLA, and Cal Arts, and later taught at those universities. Wow, I had no idea. I just learned something about my friend.
Thank you. Yes.
You're welcome.
John Williams has influenced many, many people. I actually had my first meeting and opportunity to work with John way back in the 1970s, right after Star Wars. And a friend of mine, I was still in school, a friend of mine was in college, and they did probably the first thesis on John Williams' music. And so we contacted him on a regular basis. And he was, very humble but very cooperative in allowing us to interview him and seeing examples of his work. And he was famous, but not nearly as famous as he is today. So I've got a special fondness for the John Williams before he was super famous.
And you worked for many, many major studios, Sony, Fox, Disney, Sprint, Mattel, Warner Brothers, and PBS. And your project starred Elliot Gould, Doug Jones, Blythe Danner, and Martin Sheen. Wow, that's amazing. And you made the New York Film Critics Top 10 with your documentary Heist.
Yes, that was a real thrill. That was the first time I got mentioned in Variety, which is the big magazine online. And
I love that magazine.
Covers all the world of entertainment.
You know, we all make mistakes in our careers because nothing is perfect in life, and we learn from our mistakes. What did you learn from yours?
Oh, gosh, I'm still learning from my mistakes. I think that maybe the best advice on this I got or heard just recently. At the time that we're recording this, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing. I went to an event at JPL, Jet Propulsion NASA laboratory, where they design all of the robots and spaceships that explore the universe. There's a guy there who's worked on basically all the projects since the 1960s. We had men on the moon, we had space stations, we were exploring Mars, the outer solar system, one success after another, but it didn't start out that way. His name is Kasani, the head of engineering. We don't fire people for mistakes. Mistakes are how you learn what the root of the problem is and solve it.
I like it. That's perfect. It is so true. It is so true. Because in this life, you're going to make mistakes no matter what you do. And the
Right.
good thing is that you correct them and you learn from them and you do better. And when you do better, you still make mistakes.
Yes, exactly.
There's always a root problem. There's always a root to everything. It's the root of the problem.
Right, and when you solve that, then the barriers disappear, the obstacles go away, and you advance.
Yes, that's it. Absolutely. Well, you know what? We want to hear a little piece of your music right now. I'm going to play. And
Yay!
yes, and I'm going to start with Meeting by the Waters because I listened to it and I liked it so much. So we're going to start with that, and we'll be right back with you. So don't go away, David. So we are back with David Raiklen, composer, producer, everything you can imagine. And he is a brilliant, brilliant composer. What was your inspiration behind this composition called Meeting by the Waters? It was so beautiful. I loved it.
Thank you. That was for a film score for a movie called Kara's File. And it was the first movie made by a brilliant young writer-director named Anne-Sophie Dutoit. And she was a teenager when she wrote and directed this very heartfelt romantic tragedy. And she and the person who's going to be her boyfriend were meeting in the canals of Venice. And the shot was just beautiful, like the most gorgeous cinematography from a golden age Hollywood screen romance. But the soaring strings and the lonely, bold piano and that vibe that the world is beautiful and sad at the same time. Putting that approach to the young people in the picture seemed to be magical, and the film went on to win many prizes at festivals. And I think it's because we gave them a sense of dignity and beauty that, yes, they were just teenagers having a romantic fling, but there was also something classic and universal about that. So there's a tip for all of you aspiring film composers: play more than one level. Yes, it's okay to play what's happening on screen, but play what's not happening on screen, but in the minds and hearts.
It's gorgeous. Okay, now I want to play Worth Concerto because you have 4 pieces here that I selected that I just love, and I want the audience to hear them. And so I'm going to play Worth Concerto, and then we're going to come back and talk about that one. We'll be right back with David Raiklen, and we are now listening to Worth Concerto. That is beautiful. I love the violin. I love the violin. That is gorgeous. David, you are so amazing. I love you. I wish that I was making a big film so I can get you to compose some more music for me.
It's the quality that counts. It can be small, it can be big, any size, and still be awesome. And beautiful.
Okay, I'm going to do a short, and I'm going to get you to do the score for me.
Let's do it.
All right. So
You
tell
have to
me.
praise Sid Page, the violin soloist there.
Oh, it's beautiful. So tell me your inspiration for writing this Worth Concerto. How did this happen?
A dear friend named Kathy Carey, a wonderful director, she came to me with an idea of turning a poem into a short film. Mm-hmm. And the poem was basically about a violin that was up for auction. And what the story was behind the violin that looked rather shabby and not too special. It even made it onto the short list for the Academy Award. So that went really well. And I was basically commissioned to write a violin concerto. So I did. It had to work with the picture, of course.
Oh, yes.
But that was part of the fun.
Yes.
Because we knew that the person playing the violin on the soundtrack was also going to be the person who was playing the violin in the picture. So we didn't have to fake anything.
Yes. It was just beautiful. What a great piece.
Thank you.
You're
welcome.
There's a
long story behind it.
Oh, I love it. So you gained notice in Hollywood for your versatility in composing rock, jazz, piano, ethnic, electronic, and symphonic music. In 2008, you scored your first of many films with Kathy Carey, a festival darling called Worth. And that's where this came, the Worth Concerto. In 2012, you co-produced and you were the composer and campaign manager for Space Command, a film series that set a funding record on Kickstarter. And this was a culmination of a long collaboration with best-selling author Mark Scott Zickrey.
The scene we're going to play is actually from the middle of the first episode, where Captain Jack Kemmer is taken by exoarchaeologist Vaughn O'Dara to take, as a thank you gift, a trip to an alien mirage on the planet Mars, where the spirits, the voices of the ancient inhabitants of Mars still live and speak to the people of the 21st century. And that's what this music is for. It's dreamy and scary and beautiful.
It was. Okay, we're going to play it so we can all hear it again. Well, for me to hear again, but the audience, this is for you. Here it is, Space Command Mirage, written and composed by David Raiklen. We'll be right back. to play that in Halloween, too.
Yes, it's very cool.
It is cool. I love that. Spooky might not be the right word, but kind of, but it's like surreal.
Yes. Well, it's a mirage. It's a mirage on an alien planet. So, yes, one cute little bit of lore or a backstory is we needed to invent an alien language because the civilization there is still communicating, and it couldn't be any earthly language because we wanted this to sound like it was alien and futuristic to everybody on Earth. So we invented a new language, and the wonderful actors Doug Jones and Mira Furlan were able to read this new language that's not any earthly language the first time through with expression and nuance.
Wow, that's incredible. Was it done by improv or by script?
Oh, it had to be done by script. Oh. It was way too complicated to do by improv because first they had to have the sounds of the language written out so they knew what they were saying.
Yes, and
we had to do multiple takes because we had several actors, like they were having a conversation. Yes. It wasn't like one alien voice. It was like the voices of the whole civilization. So we needed to have lots of actors. So that also required a script. And then it all had to be timed because this is synchronized with the action on the screen.
That is cool. That is really cool. You're welcome. In 2014, David, you composed music for the biography of Mia, A Dancer's Journey, directed by Kate Johnson, that won an Emmy. Tell us about that. That's one of the most wonderful experiences.
Kate Johnson is a beautiful soul and the most brilliant of artists. Everyone loves working with her because she's just an inspiring person. She knows so much about filmmaking and every detail of every department, and she knows so much about the story and the backstory and all the history and the details. It's just wonderful to work with someone who is so creative and has all these wonderful ideas and is also so well prepared and knows all the technical details. And on top of all of that, is so humble and kind in the way they deal with others. Kate really is an example of what I aspire to be.
I agree with you because it is wonderful to work with people who know what they are doing, who understand, who are organized, who love their work, who have a passion for their work. And that's the difference. When you have the passion for your work, as you do, that's when you get the beautiful piece of art that is created from that work because the passion is behind it all.
Yes, and it's one thing to be passionate about your own work, but it's a whole other thing to be passionate about the whole team. Yes. The dozens and dozens of people, artists and craftsmen that work on a movie. Yes. And that's something that Kate Johnson has mastered. And the film took a while to make because we had budget restrictions, but it looks amazing. And because Mia's story is so remarkable, this is the story of a person who was born in a town so small that they didn't even have a dance school, except being self-taught, an unstoppable force of nature talent. And yet she said something that was political or considered to be political, and she was banned for life from her home country. But for Mia, not a problem. She moved to France and became a movie star. And that went along quite well for a while until a real problem came along, World War II. But again, an indomitable spirit. She emigrated to the United States with a few of her friends. And her friends were the Ballet Russe, the world's most famous ballet company at that time. So they traveled back and forth across the United States, bringing dance to cities in the United States and towns that had never seen professional dancers before. And they're one of the reasons why we, all across the United States, have the Nutcracker as a Christmas pageant. It's because that's one of the things that the Ballet Russe actually brought around the country was the Nutcracker, because they thought that would appeal to Americans.
Yes.
And they were right. It not only appealed, but we started to do it ourselves.
Yes, it appeals to adults and children. Everyone loves the Nutcracker. I've gone to several. Love it.
Yes. So now you know a little bit of the backstory of how that became so popular in the United States. But Mia's story goes on, and all I'll say is Mia, A Dancer's Journey, is completely worth your time if you love dance, if you hate dance, because the story is about someone who had a unstoppable will and spirit that they were going to succeed no matter what life threw it. Off screen was every bit as dramatic as anything that she did performing on stage. I think that that's the reason why it won the Emmy. That and the fact that Kate Johnson did such an amazing job.
Well, I'm going to look for it and I'm going to watch it. I love it. I love good stuff like that.
Oh, yes.
I love dance.
The first broadcast was here in Los Angeles. It was on a PBS station. So we were all gathered around, cast and crew and friends in Kate's studio. And we were watching. And we figured that there'd be, a few people tuning in, PBS. We figured we'd get a small audience. Well, everyone liked it. And then we got a call from PBS. And the Nielsen ratings, come in very quickly.
Yes.
And we won the time slot.
Wow, that's amazing. That's wonderful. Now I have to watch it now.
Yes, and that was quite a moment there when Kate sort of put down the phone and said, "You're not going to believe this, but we won our time slot."
That is beautiful. Beautiful.
So somehow people found that it was there.
Well, hey, good things happen, right? And
sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. When you have something worth seeing or hearing, somehow the universe brings it to you. So here we go. I want to play Quirky, another one of your compositions, and we'll talk about that and find out what exactly quirky means. So here we go. This is Quirky by David Raiklen. David, that sounds very Middle Eastern. Quirky. So tell me, what's the story behind Quirky? Tell us.
Well, okay. The scene was of the guy, the star of the movie, on summer vacation, doing all of his different activities, kind of, eccentric and quirky activities. That's a phrase that you hear a lot. We want the music to be quirky. We want the comedy to be quirky. It's not exactly clear what that means. It's sort of a combination of we want it to be unique or funny or cool, or who knows exactly what. So that was my attempt at it. And it turned out that it became kind of popular, and people started asking me to do things like that in other pictures.
Well, I love it because, yes, quirky, odd, unique, different.
Yes.
All those adjectives. What valuable advice do you have to the listeners if they want to pursue a career such as yours?
Well, a career in the arts is always an individual path. No two people have the same success story in the arts. In other professions, like for example in medicine or in law or in business, people can follow a certain pathway. You can go to school and get a degree. You can start out working at a small company, and then you can, form your own. And there's little bits of that happen in the entertainment industry. You can go to school and get a degree. But there's plenty of very successful people in the arts who don't have a degree. Or you could work with someone else and, then go off on your own. Or you can just start off on your own. And it's always different. But there are a couple of general principles that do apply to everyone that I've seen and met. One is that you need to practice your craft and get good at what you're doing on your own. So you have to be comfortable with spending time by yourself working with no one to tell you whether what you're doing is good or bad or who knows what. You just have to stick with it and keep trying to improve. So that's one thing that you need to do is to learn your craft and continue to learn and practice it for your whole life. Because that's the thing about art, is it's always changing and always growing. So you always have to be changing and growing yourself. If you don't, well, then you become what's known as a has-been. You know, someone who has had a career in the past, but now that's gone because the world has changed and they haven't. Yes. So you have to keep doing that. Then the next thing is a whole other category. That's where you need to have friends. The more people who are your friends, the more opportunities you will have to be successful, either with their words and actions or financially. So you want to have lots of friends. And if you can't make lots of friends, then you at least need to make friends who are very wealthy and powerful.
Yes.
Who can, compensate for the lack of numbers by having a bunch of resources in one place. So that's the second. The way it was expressed to me is be everybody's friend. That's not easy to do. At least try and be a friend to everyone you meet. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is never give up. And never give up means that when you think that nothing is working, when everyone tells you that nothing is working, that there's all the evidence is that you have no chance of succeeding, you still keep trying anyway. And
excellent advice, and you're so right. Not giving up means that you believe in yourself and you believe what you're doing is your passion, and you're going to be determined to achieve it, and you just keep going till you achieve it because you will. Because if anyone else can do it, you can do it. Nobody is obsolete.
Yes, we're all connected, and finding the people that are the best, the healthiest connections for you is really important, and you can't get too discouraged about that. If you do, then the arts are not really the right field for you. You need to be someone who can just keep on going, pick yourself up and dust yourself off and start all over again.
That's right. That's right.
As the song says.
That's right. Okay. Now, you are amazing and wonderful, and I'm so happy that you're on my show. And I've known you for about 9 years, and we've talked off and on, and you even composed tracks for me, and they were beautiful, and I still have those. But I wanted to, you're welcome. I wanted to ask you, where can our listeners connect with you in the social media, and how can they reach out to you if they have a project that they would like you to compose?
I would love to help anyone and everyone with their projects. Everything is a possibility, whether your budget is large or small, whether the project has a little music or a lot of music.
Yes.
You can reach me at David Raiklen on Facebook, DavidRaiklen. You can go to my website, David Raiklen, DavidRaiklen.com. You can email me at cinematicmusic1. That's CINEMATICMUSIC, the numeral 1, at gmail.com. Oh, and David. I'm Raiklen, Raiklen, on Instagram.
Let's not forget Raiklen. So, David, you are incredible. You're a genius at your music and at so much. I mean, you really are. You're an Einstein of composition.
Well, that's the nicest thing anyone has ever said. You are the Madame Curie of talk shows.
Thank you. That's the nicest thing anyone has ever said. Okay. And I adore you, and I think you're wonderful, and thank you so much. And I can't wait to have you back again, and we will talk again after Space Command and after all the future films that you do and music that you compose. And Yes.
Check out Space Command Pilot on YouTube. It's free.
There you go. It's free. Space Command. Thank you so much, David Raiklen. God bless you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Bless you in light, Nadia.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in with Nadia and her guests. For more info, episodes, and connection, please visit our website, thenadiasaharishow.com. Share episodes with your friends. Follow us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Instagram, and most importantly, never give up. Live your dream.